There are things in life that may seem harmless at first glance, but they can carry unexpected consequences, and eating a meal at a funeral is one of them. Have you ever heard someone say, "Do not eat at a funeral. It is not good," but just brushed it off as some kind of superstitious warning? If so, then you definitely need to watch this entire video, because what you are dismissing might actually be the hidden cause behind a string of bad luck, constant fatigue, or even ongoing illness without any clear explanation. A lot of people have experienced strange things after attending a funeral. They start to lose sleep night after night, feel restless and uneasy, face constant issues at work, or experience conflict within their family. So where does it all begin? Just from a single meal? That is right. But it is not just any meal. It is a meal served in a place where the living and the deceased come together. It is a space where the energies of life and death mix, and where the human mind is most vulnerable to external influences. In this video, you will come to understand why eating at a funeral has long been considered taboo by our ancestors, what modern science says about human psychology during moments of mourning, and most importantly, what you should do to protect yourself and your loved ones during such emotionally sensitive times. Before we dive in, leave a comment below with a positive affirmation as a way to attract good energy into your life. Something like, "I choose peaceful and vibrant energy every day," or any other intention you want to bring into your reality. And do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, so you will not miss out on any important content like this. Let us spread awareness together and learn to live with greater peace and resilience through whatever life throws our way. And now, what is the hidden truth behind the meal served at a funeral? What exactly lies behind that mysterious curtain? Let us uncover it together right now. In many East Asian cultures, especially in Buddhism and traditional Feng Shui, a funeral is not just a farewell ceremony for the departed. It is also a sacred moment when the worlds of the living and the dead overlap, where the visible world touches the unseen realm of subtle energies. The old saying goes, "Never take a funeral lightly." That is because when someone passes away, their spirit does not always move on immediately. Depending on their karma, their final thoughts, and the merits they accumulated in life, their soul might still linger, not ready to leave, not able to let go. That is why a funeral space carries a heavy concentration of what is called yin energy, a type of low-frequency, dense energy that can affect the living, especially if your energy field is not strong or your mind is not steady. Unlike yang energy, which is light, vibrant, and full of life, the yin energy present at a funeral feels heavy, silent, and sometimes oppressive. It can leave people feeling drained, dizzy, or emotionally weighed down without knowing why. This is not superstition. It is the principle of energetic interaction. When heavy energy comes into contact with a weak field, it creates a phenomenon known as energy contamination. One of the most common taboos is eating at a funeral without understanding the proper ritual. According to Eastern beliefs, the dead no longer consume food the way the living do. They absorb the spiritual energy of food through its scent, its essence, and especially through the intention behind the offering. When we prepare food as a ritual offering, it is not meant to feed the deceased physically, but rather to send love and spiritual energy into the invisible realm, helping the soul feel warmth and be gently guided onward. But if someone from the living world, out of ignorance or carelessness, eats that food before the spirit has been properly invited, or before the ritual is complete, They unintentionally disturb what was meant for the other side. This act is seen as disrespectful, and it disrupts the flow of energy, possibly upsetting the spirit, who may then follow the person to reclaim what was taken. You might think that sounds far-fetched, but there are hundreds, even thousands, of real stories passed down through generations, shared by families, and even told by modern people who never believed in the spiritual world before. One such story is about Sarah Mitchell, an American teacher living in Chiang Mai, Thailand. She attended the funeral of a Thai co-worker, a traditional Buddhist ceremony held at an old temple that still followed very strict and sacred customs. Unfamiliar with the local culture, Sarah casually sat down and ate a bowl of rice porridge that had been placed near the ancestral altar. No one stopped her. No one said anything, but a few elders in the crowd gave her quiet, uneasy looks, as if they had just witnessed something that should not have happened. That night, Sarah could not sleep. She said it felt like something was pressing on her chest every time she closed her eyes. In her dream, she saw her deceased colleague standing silently at the foot of her bed, looking at her with sad eyes, saying nothing. The next morning, a Thai friend gently explained to her that meal was meant for the spirit of the deceased. Here, before eating anything at a funeral, we always say a prayer to ask for permission to show respect and to avoid taking on karmic energy. Sarah was never superstitious, but from that day on, she never treated funeral rituals lightly again. She realized that some things cannot be seen or heard, but they can be felt by the heart. And respecting what we do not yet understand is the first step to protecting ourselves in a world filled with invisible connections we are not always aware of. From a Buddhist perspective, this makes perfect sense. The Buddha taught all things arise from conditions. When conditions come together, things arise. When conditions end, they pass away. A funeral is exactly that moment when life conditions dissolve and death conditions take shape. It is a powerful time for reflection, for understanding how we live, how we speak, and how we think. So even though funerals are somber by nature, they also serve as a spiritual reminder that every action, every word, and even every bite of food carries energy. And when we act with awareness, sincerity, and calm intention, even in times of loss, the light of renewal can still quietly begin to rise. Now, if the living should not casually touch the food offered at funerals, then who is that meal really meant for? And what should the family, the ones organizing the funeral, do to ensure both proper etiquette and spiritual respect? In Eastern tradition, there is a sacred ritual often carried out quietly at funerals, preparing a separate meal just for the deceased. This is not superstition, but comes from the belief that the spirit of the recently departed still lingers in the funeral space, not in bodily form, but as a subtle presence that Westerners might describe as a spirit or spiritual energy. The family will usually prepare a full meal with multiple dishes and place it in front of the coffin or a temporary altar. Then they light incense and say a prayer to invite the soul to dine first. Again, this is not because they believe the dead will physically eat the food, but because they believe the spirit can absorb the energy through remembrance, heartfelt intention, and the ritual fragrance of incense. Only after the incense has burned for a while and the atmosphere has settled will the family begin to serve food to relatives, friends, and visitors. This is not just a traditional custom. It is also a way of drawing a respectful boundary between the living and the dead to prevent energetic confusion or unwanted overlap. If someone unknowingly eats the food before the offering is complete, or without offering a prayer, it is believed that the spirit may feel disrespected. In folk belief, this could lead to the spirit clinging to the person, causing energy imbalances. People who are more sensitive might experience insomnia, fatigue, anxiety, or even feel like someone is following them. In modern terms, it is described as a disturbance in your personal energy field, a subtle imbalance that throws your system out of harmony. This is why many families, whether they live in the city or countryside, whether they are traditional or modern, still quietly practice this ritual. They do not make a show of it, and they do not force anyone to believe in it. But they understand that a single stick of incense, a whispered prayer, and a carefully set meal can be a powerful gesture of respect for the unseen world. It is a beautiful reflection of Eastern philosophy that the living and the dead can still connect, not through words, but through energy. And when we know how to show respect at the right time in the right place, life becomes lighter, more peaceful, and more in balance. So what happens if someone accidentally eats the food that was originally prepared for the deceased? It may seem like a small mistake, but sometimes the consequences can reach deep into your soul. Many people, after unknowingly eating food at a funeral, without saying a prayer or realizing that it was meant as an offering to the dead, begin to feel strange shifts in both their body and their spirit. At first, it might just be a sudden chill running down the spine, or a cold breeze brushing past the back of the neck, even on a warm day. Then comes the lingering fatigue, with no clear cause. You are not physically sick, but mentally you feel sluggish and drained, as if something heavy is weighing on your heart. Some people suffer from sleepless nights, tossing and turning. Each time they drift off, they are pulled into unsettling dreams, seeing the recently departed standing at the foot of the bed, or appearing silently in a dream, just staring with sad eyes. Even after waking up knowing it was just a dream, the cold, restless, uneasy feeling lingers throughout the day. In folk traditions, this is called being followed by a spirit. But if we explain it in more modern terms, it is simply an energy disturbance. Every person has their own energy field. The West calls it an aura, while the East refers to it as qi. When this field comes into contact with the low-frequency vibration of a space filled with yin energy, like a funeral, and especially when someone accidentally takes in spiritual energy meant for the deceased, it is no surprise that energetic disruptions occur. A story from Emily Ross, an American woman who once lived in Japan, helps paint a clearer picture. While attending the funeral of a Japanese friend's family member, Emily, feeling hungry and unfamiliar with local customs, had a portion of rice placed beside the altar. She had no idea it had been prepared as an offering. Over the following nights, she had recurring nightmares. She saw the departed standing outside her bedroom window, not saying anything, just standing there, never leaving. She could not sleep. The house felt dim, suffocating, even though the lights were on and the windows were wide open. When she shared this with her friend, she learned that in Japanese culture, and in many other East Asian traditions, food at funerals is never touched until a ritual prayer is offered to invite the spirit to dine. Emily's unintentional act was seen as a spiritual trespass, and the soul still lingering nearby might have remained to recover the energy that had been taken. Emily later visited a temple to make a simple apology, just lighting incense, putting her hands together, and offering a silent prayer in her heart, letting the spirit know that she meant no harm. And strangely enough, from that night on, the dreams stopped. Her sleep returned to normal. To her, it was no longer about superstition. It became a profound lesson in respecting what we do not yet understand, and in not dismissing ancient rituals, just because modern science has not explained them yet. But life is not always so clear-cut. There will be times when you are expected to eat something at a funeral out of courtesy or because of circumstance. So in those moments, what should you do? If you truly must eat at a funeral, do not just reach out and grab a bite like you would at a regular meal. Pause for a few seconds. Gently close your eyes, relax your shoulders, place your palms together over your heart, and offer a silent prayer. You do not need bells or chanting, no rituals or witnesses, just a sincere thought, something like this: Namo Amitabha Buddha. I ask for permission to receive this food. If this is an offering, I mean no disrespect. May both the living and the departed find peace. It may be a simple prayer, but it has the power to shift the energy around you. Like a soft light radiating from your heart, it calms any lingering vibrations in the space. It will not stop what is meant to happen, but it makes you less vulnerable because you have stepped into that space with mindfulness and humility. If you are familiar with Buddhist practice, you can also recite something as simple as Namo Amitabha. Buddha, may this food become pure and peaceful. That is all it takes, because these words are not meant to drive away spirits, but to calm your own mind. When your mind is calm, your energy becomes balanced. And when your energy is strong and steady, any dark or heavy presence, even if it is around, will not be able to attach itself to you. In truth, what causes a person to be affected by eating at a funeral is not the food itself, it is the inner state of the person receiving it. Someone who is anxious, fearful, or emotionally unstable becomes fertile ground for low-frequency energy. But someone who is aware, grounded, and confident in their own inner light creates an invisible shield around themselves without needing any outside protection. There is a deeply wise saying in Buddhism that has been passed down for generations: when the mind is at peace, everything is at peace. But when the mind is chaotic, even the wind becomes a storm. And that is the heart of every spiritual ritual, not to control the world around you, but to master the world within you. Even if you are careful while attending a funeral, it is still a place where heavy yin energy lingers deeply. So once you return home, as you step through your own front door, what should you do to make sure no lingering spirit follows you back? The most important thing the moment you walk in is not to rush into cooking dinner or jumping into the shower. It is to silently and consciously cut off the energetic connection with the space you just came from. Start by taking a deep breath, letting your mind settle. Then you can quietly recite a protective mantra. Some people choose Am Lamba Saha, soft, gentle, but firm, with each syllable spinning away any heavy spiritual energy. Others prefer the mantra of Zen Master, Luang For Opasi, Na Ma Pata, Sangsi Moro, short, easy to remember, and often used like a shield when transitioning from spaces of low vibration back to normal life. Next, immediately change out of the clothes you wore to the funeral. Do not fold them or hang them back up. Just set them aside to be washed separately as a symbolic way of releasing any residual energy you no longer need. Taking a warm shower with sea salt or a few slices of fresh ginger is also an ancient, simple, and effective way to cleanse your energy field. A small pinch of salt at your doorway, a bit of incense burning in your room, a warm cup of tea under soft yellow light. All of these tiny things may seem unrelated, but together they form a gentle, energetic shield to help you fully return to yourself. And perhaps the most overlooked, yet most important thing, do not talk about the funeral that day. Do not describe what you saw. Do not analyze what happened to the deceased. Do not talk about the altar or comment on the coffin. because every word, every thought is like a thread that quietly ties your energy back to the spirit world, the very world you have worked to disconnect from. Instead, keep your home space light. If possible, play some peaceful meditation music or simply sit in silence for a while. No thinking, no speaking. Just let your breath bring you back to the clean, calm energy of your home. Because only when your home remains clear and your heart stays still will all the heavy energies naturally leave. You do not need to drive them away. You do not need to be afraid. You do not need to defend yourself, because heavy energies cannot remain in a space filled with peace and light. Life already has enough chaos. Among all the noise and distractions of the physical world, there is still another world, invisible but quietly present. And if we do not learn to slow down and listen more deeply, we will easily overlook the smallest things, things that can have a huge impact on our peace and our destiny. Eating at a funeral is not strictly forbidden. It is simply a quiet lesson in mindfulness, respect, and awareness. When you step into a place filled with yin energy, what matters most is not your appearance, but your state of mind. When your heart is calm, nothing can disturb you. But when your spirit is shaken, even a light breeze can throw you off balance. The old ones said it best. Rituals are not for show. They are to protect yourself. Not to scare anyone, not to impress others, but to remind us to live with boundaries, with gratitude, and with self-respect. A quiet prayer, a soft chant, a single moment of pause before you eat. That is how you walk steadily on the bridge between two worlds. If you found today's message meaningful, leave a comment below as a way to mark your own moment of awareness. You could write, "I choose to live mindfully and keep my heart at peace," or "I am always protected by the light of goodness." And do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, so you never miss valuable content about Feng Shui, spiritual well-being, and how to live in harmony with both the outer and the inner worlds. See you again in the next videos, where we continue our journey inward, so that each day is not just about surviving, but about becoming brighter, lighter, and more grounded.